Welcome to the SportsCapping.com podcast with free handicapping advice, odds insights, picks, and predictions to help you beat the sportsbook. And now your hosts, Jack Jones and Brandon Lee.
This is your host, Jack Jones, with the SportsCapping.com podcast. I'm back with Brandon Lee today to give out 4 free picks for Wednesday, February 6th. We used the opening lines on Tuesday to come up with our picks for Wednesday. Brandon and I are coming off an 0-4 week. It's our first OFR that I can remember, even dating back to the last 3 seasons on the football podcast. I don't think we ever went OFR, but it does happen to the best of us. We're off to a slow start this basketball podcast, which we're trying for the first time this season, so be patient with us. Even though we're 3-9 through 3 weeks, I expect we'll be able to get it back to profitable by the time the NCAA tournament's through. Brandon's 1-5, I'm 2-4. Brandon, not the most ideal start here, but welcome back to the podcast.
Yeah, it's been a real struggle so far, handicapping these games a little earlier than normal, but definitely adjusting to it and confident that, like you said, we'll get it turned around by the time this thing's over with.
Yeah, me too. I'm confident too. Yeah, definitely. And I don't normally look at. I sometimes will scroll through the lines the night before, but I don't normally, make picks the night before unless it's on like Saturday. Sometimes for college basketball I do, just because there's so many games. You got to do it sometimes a little in advance to get through all the games and get the picks out by the time the games start at 11 o'clock Central Time on the weekends. But other than that, I don't try to make picks too often the night before, but I'm not trying to make excuses. I will get it turned around here. Fortunately, did redeem myself last week by winning on the Patriots in the Super Bowl. Also went 7-3 on my 10 props on our Super Bowl prop podcast with Jimmy Boyd. So it was definitely a very profitable Super Bowl for me. What do you think about that Super Bowl, Brandon?
Yeah, I mean, I was on the wrong side of my premium play with the Rams. I did a decent for myself on prop bets, but it was pretty boring. I don't think anyone can really argue that. Really, you got to tip your hat to Bill Belichick and the game plan that he put together against, what we all thought Sean McVay was, this offensive genius. And, that's got to be a real humbling experience for him. And I'm sure they'll be back, but hats off to New England once again for winning.
Yeah, it was definitely one of the most boring Super Bowls I've ever watched. I was happy with the result, but it was just hard to even watch it. It was just ugly football. But I did do a props pool with my family for our family Super Bowl party. Made the questions easy. They were all pretty much 50-50 choices, like how long would it take to sing the national anthem, heads or tails on the coin toss, first play of the game being a run or a pass. Pick the winner of the game, and over under 56.5 points were just about half of them, and there's several more, but there were 11 questions in all. Prize for the top 3 finishers, and 2 wives who know nothing about football both went 9-2 for first and second place. So it seems to happen every year that a woman wins these prop contests I put together.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. Like I said, it was pretty much 50-50 choices, but it's just amazing how it turns out that way, even though there wasn't a lot of thought involved. There's a few, just picking the winner of the game and over under 56.5 points definitely took some thought, but for the most part, it was flipping a coin and they came out on top. But let the listeners know, Brandon, how you're doing on your basketball premium picks this season.
Yeah, still going really well in NBA number 1 over the last 60 days, 61% all NBA picks, last 97. So, definitely the time to get on board with my pro plays. College basketball is starting to heat up. I do have 2 top 4 finishes top 10 finishes in the last 4 years and profiting well over 50 grand last 1,000 plus basketball plays.
Awesome, man. I'm the number 1 ranked basketball capper at SportsCapping all time. $1,000 per game players up $192,000 since 2012. Also number 3 this season. $1,000 per game players up $29,000 this year. Number 2 in NBA this year. Riding an 81-54 NBA run over my last 135 this season. That's going to be enough about us. I know you guys want some winners, especially after last week. I'm feeling good about our 4 free picks here for Wednesday this week. Brandon, start us off with your NBA free pick.
Yeah, I'm going to take the San Antonio Spurs plus 11 on the road against the Golden State Warriors. I just feel that Warriors are way overvalued right now, and this is simply too many points to pass up with on the Spurs. Golden State's failed to cover each of their last two, both at home. First, they lost outright to the 76ers, 113-104 as an 8-point favorite, and then followed that up with a non-cover at home against the Lakers without LeBron. And I just think, the Warriors are really struggling right now to find motivation with these regular season games. And I think it's even tougher with the All-Star game looming, which I think, they have so many All-Stars and they're just all looking forward to that, break from the actual action. And the books, they know the betting public, they can't help themselves but to back the Warriors, especially, when things are going well like they have been here of late. I just think we're seeing a number inflated a little bit more than normal because this game will be played on ESPN, and the fact that the Spurs are coming in off an ugly 15-point loss at Sacramento. You could just see from the start of that game against the Kings that the Spurs, really weren't mentally ready to play there. And by the time they got going, it was just too late. I'm confident they'll be 100% locked in for this one. Well, while San Antonio might not be one of the elite teams in the league anymore, they're still one of the better teams out west and have really turned it on over the last 2 months. Spurs were just 11-14 after a loss to the Lakers on December 5th. Since then, they've gone 21-9. San Antonio is 9-1-1 against the spread in their last 11 off a straight-up loss. 9-1 against the spread in their last 10 versus a team that's won more than 60% of their games, and 4-1 in their last 5 on the road against a team with a winning home record. Warriors just 3-11-1 against the spread in their last 15 home games, and 2-9-1 against the spread in their last 12 at home versus a team with a losing road record. Give me the Spurs plus 11.
Yeah, man, this number does seem a tad high to me. The Warriors have been consistently overvalued at home this season. I had several of those trends as well. The 3-11-1 against the spread the last 15 at home. So they've been a decent bet on the road, but at home they're just always laying too many points. So it's just hard for them to cover such big numbers when they're getting the other team's best shot every time they're at home. Spurs have won 2 of the last 3, and they're 3-0 against the spread the last 3 meetings with the Warriors. So definitely have played them well here recently. A lot of trends back in the Spurs here, and I'm leaning the same way.
Nice. Yeah, you just don't really see San Antonio through 2 clunkers in back-to-back games, which is something I really like here. And, obviously we're not expecting the Spurs to win this game, or I'm not. But, all we need is for them to keep it in single digits, so I don't think is asking too much.
No, definitely not. They're good enough to stay within singles. I'm going to take the Kings plus 2 at home against the Rockets. Kings definitely have been one of the most underrated teams in the NBA this season. Their win total was 24.5 coming into the year. They've already got 28 wins, went over that total 2 weeks ago. Sacramento fans are definitely excited about this team. Continue to pack the building because of it. That's why I think the Kings have had so much success at home of late. Sacramento 7-1 against the spread, 7-1 straight up, 8-0 against the spread their last 8 home games. Only loss came to Golden State by 4 as 8-point dogs. The Kings have upset the likes of the Blazers, 76ers, and Spurs at home during this stretch. Now I think they'll upset the Rockets here, who are still without Clint Capella, could be without Eric Gordon. I expect Willie Cauley-Stein and Marvin Bagley to dominate the paint without Capella, which is going to be the key to victory here. Bagley has missed 14 games due to injury, but they've really been a different team since he returned. He's averaging 17.5 points, 10.3 rebounds in his last 6 games, as his minutes have gone up since returning from that injury. The wear and tear on James Harden, I think, starting to show on the team in general, because the Rockets are just 2-8 against the spread their last 10 games overall. They're 1-6 against the spread their last 7 road games, and they're 1-8 against the spread their last 9 following a win. Home court advantage has mattered. Home team 6-1 against the spread the last 7 meetings. So I just want to keep riding this Kings streak that's definitely made me some money in recent weeks.
Yeah, don't blame you there. Sacramento is a really fun team to watch. They're not really on TV a whole lot, just because nobody really expect them to be this good, but they play that up tempo style, and they shoot a lot of threes just like the Warriors. So they're definitely a team that I've had my eye on a lot early on and made quite a bit of money on them. But I am a little bit concerned with the small number. It's definitely fishy, I guess, if you want to call it like that. It stinks a little just because 2 doesn't quite seem like enough, but there's no way I would be back in Houston on the road. Rockets have really struggled, losing to some bad teams and, letting out some other bad teams hang around. So I'll definitely be rooting you in on this one, and I might get there myself.
Awesome, man. Glad you agree there. Yeah, they're so fun to watch. I think they're like second in pace, so they get up and down. They're real fun to watch. I've watched a lot of late night Kings games and definitely go to bed not disappointed usually watching them. But what do you like in college basketball this week?
Yeah, I'm going to go back to the team that let you down last week. I'm going to take the USC Trojans -6.5 at home against the Utah Utes. Unfortunately, the Trojans, couldn't bring in that cover for you, but I was really impressed with how they were able to bounce back in that next game on the road against Washington State. I know the Cougars aren't a great team, but that was a game they could have easily came out flat and not played their best. They won. They ended up winning by just 9, but it was a lot more lopsided than that. USC never trailed in the game. I think they started the game on an 11-0 run, and we're up double digits most of the way. And as you touched on last week, this has really been a different team in Pac-12 play since they've got some of these key guys back from injury. I just don't think it's asking a lot for them to cover this number. USC is a perfect 5-0 at home in Pac-12 play. 4 of the 5 wins have come by 9 points or more, including a 23-point win over Arizona and a 13-point win over UCLA. Utah comes in with a winning record in Pac-12 play at 5-4. But 4 other 5 conference wins have come against teams who currently have a losing record in conference play. They also have come in having lost back-to-back games at home to the likes of Oregon and Oregon State. And, both of these teams are very efficient offensively. Both come in shooting around 47% from the field. The big thing here is where USC is going to, in my opinion, create the gap is on the defensive side of the ball. The Trojans are only giving up 65.4 points per game and 38% shooting at home, and they've carried over that stingy defense at home into conference play. Utah, on the other hand, is allowing opponents to score 78 points per game and shoot 49% from the field away from home. USC also should have the advantages here in both rebounding and turnovers. Utah is a mere 4-11 against the spread in their last 15 versus a team with a winning record. And the favorite has covered 7 of the last 9 in this series. Give me the Trojans -6.5 at home, or 6, depending on where, it's both numbers right now. I'll take the 6, but I recommend this pretty much anything under single digits.
Yeah, there's a 6 out there. We'll give you 6 for sure. Yeah, the Trojans definitely been handling their business at home of late. Unfortunately, I took them on the road last week. I did get +8 the day before and went down to +7, so I figured I was on the right side, but they lost by 12 to Washington. You just keep steamrolling everybody. They've gone, but USC's gone 7-0 straight up, 6-1 against the spread their last 7 home games. And, those wins over Arizona State, Arizona, and UCLA came by a combined 12.7 points per game. Utah definitely in a rebuilding year. They're just 11-10 this season. Worst I can remember this Utah team being for quite some time. USC did win both meetings last year with the Utes by an average of 16.5 points per game. I think this is a good spot for USC here too.
Yeah, it definitely felt like Utah just kept rolling out new stars every year there for a while. So
yeah,
definitely as down as they've been in a while for sure.
Yeah, they were they were always underrated, man. Definitely the last several years, especially when they were at home. But I just don't like this year's Utah team at all. Those are some pretty pathetic road stats their defense is allowing so far. So USC should be able to cover that number.
Lucky for them, they're not the only team rebuilding in the Pac-12.
Yeah, the Pac-12 is brutal, man. I'm going to take Missouri State -3.5 at home against Southern Illinois. This is a revenge game for Missouri State. They lost by 5 on the road to Southern Illinois in their first meeting this season, and they've actually lost 9 straight in this series to the Salukis. So it's safe to say when they come home on Wednesday night, they're going to be motivated. Missouri State is 8-2 at home this season. Their last 2 home games were probably 2 of the most impressive wins in the Missouri Valley this season. They beat Bradley by 18, 55-37, but the one that stands out is their 35-point win over Loyola Chicago as 3-point underdogs. That's a Loyola Chicago team that made the Final Four last year, and they're still pretty good this year. And it's the same Loyola Chicago team that just beat Southern Illinois by 25 points a few weeks back. The Bears are outscoring their opponents by 13.2 points per game at home this year, and I just really expect a big effort from them. So I'm willing to lay this short number at home.
Yeah, I'll be honest with the listeners here. I don't do a lot of Missouri Valley basketball plays. I just don't dabble too much outside of the Power Five. But I did take a look at this, and I was really impressed, with how good Missouri State was at home. And I definitely feel like you've handicapped this well, and I'll definitely be cheering you in on this one.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I really stick to the Power Five too, almost exclusively. Other than, I dabble into. I like the Missouri Valley probably the most of any of the smaller conferences, but I do a little Atlantic 10 and a little AAC.
The American. I'll get into that and some A10 as well, but
yeah, not too much. I like to stick to the Power Fives as much as possible too, but
since they got rid of a lot of those teams in the Missouri Valley, I've kind of lost interest in it, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. Wichita State leaving and a few others. So
Creighton, yeah.
Yep. It's definitely not nearly as strong of a conference anymore. Yeah, that's going to do it, man. Thanks for coming on. I hope we have a lot better luck this week, man.
Yeah, it can't be any worse. So, hopefully we don't go 0-4 again. But, I'm pretty confident we're going to bounce back, and this will be the week that we, turn it all around.
Yeah, I like these picks quite a bit, Brandon. You can find both Brandon and I at sportscapping.com or betfirm.com. Hit me up on Twitter at betfirmsjack. Subscribe to us on iTunes. Leave a review if you like the show. That's going to conclude this week's podcast. We'll be back with 4 more free picks next Wednesday.
Thanks for listening to the SportsCapping.com podcast. For more free picks and predictions, be sure to visit us at SportsCapping.com.